Hey everybody, it's Taylor with Boydston Grove, and today we're going to show you a bunch of new projects that you can batch out to sell.
This better be good.
Let's get into it. This video is sponsored by WeCreat. The last time we went over a bunch of quick grab-and-go items that you can batch out for your booth, but this time we're going to concentrate on some items that may take a little bit more time, but are certain to grab some attention. Project number one is a book rest, which is a pretty common item, but we're going to give it a new look. For this project, I'm using some scrap pieces of 3/4 inch pine board. I started by using a paint can to trace a circle for the base, and after trimming it down to size, I used the bench sander to refine the shape. Then I used my router to put a nice profile on one edge. This piece will be the base of the book rest. For the rest of the book rest, I cut 3 more pieces of that pine board to 8 inches by 6 inches. On one end of one of the boards, I measured 1/2 inch in on both sides and cut them at an angle. Then I set my miter saw to 30 degrees and cut the other end to create a point, creating what looks like a crooked little house. Now before we get too deep into all the measurements and cuts and everything, I wanted to let you know that we have a full set of plans for this book rest on our website, so if you're interested in building it for yourself, just hit the link below.
Yeah, you know, I might do that. Who knows? I might do that.
I set my table saw blade to 30 degrees and used my mitering or tenoning jig to cut one end of the other 2 pieces that will make up the roof or top of the book rest. I have a full video on how to make this jig if you want to make one for yourself. Then it was back to the miter saw where I cut an angle on both sides of each of the roof piece, tapering it toward the end that is still flat. This step is optional, it's just to add a little bit more interest to the overall look of the book rest. After everything was sanded, I assembled the 2 roof pieces with glue and brad nails. While that was drying, I sketched up some designs and used my WeCreat Vision Pro to cut them out of some 3mm basswood. Yes, these designs are included in the plans. Then I painted the main body with some Oops paint that I picked up from the home improvement store and used some art markers to color all the cutouts. Once everything was dry, I assembled the book rest with glue and brad nails. I made sure to attach the body to the back of the base to make room for a pair of reading glasses. Once it was put together, I applied a couple coats of spray-on lacquer. Last but not least, I attached the cutouts with some CA glue, and our first project is complete. Now the reason I like this project for a market item is because it's a really unique take on a really common product. As you can see, I made mine look like a little gnome home, but you can make yours look like whatever you want. Project number 2 is going to be a wall clock. I cut a piece of that 3/4 inch pine board to the rough size that I wanted the clock to be and stuck it in the Vision Pro. I just took a familiar image that I found online and used the WeCreat software to blow it up to the right size and position it where I wanted it. With the image burned on, I used the scroll saw to trim off the excess from around the edges. Then after finding the center, I drilled it out with a 3/8 inch bit. The clock kits that I purchased online have pretty short posts, so after marking out its location, I used a 1/4-inch straight bit in my router to hollow out the area so the kit could recess into the wood. You could skip this step by simply ordering kits with longer posts or using thinner wood. After making sure the kit fit properly, I applied a few coats of spray-on lacquer, lightly sanding in between each coat. Once the clock face was dry, I attached the numbers with some CA glue. I cut these numbers out of some black acrylic on the Vision Pro. Last but not least, I attached a hanger on the back and then installed the clock kit. Wall clocks make a great market item because it's something everyone uses, and the customization options are endless. I mean, you can make these look like any design or theme that you want. And people absolutely love to be able to replace something generic or common in their home with something customized. Alright, I'm going to take just a minute to talk about today's sponsor, WeCreat, and their Vision Pro 45-watt laser engraver. Now, just to be perfectly real with you, I wasn't super excited when WeCreat asked me to try out their rotary tool for the Vision Pro because I'm not really interested in doing mugs and stuff. I've had rotary tools on other lasers and sometimes they can be a little complicated to use, and I just really wasn't interested.
You did not just say that.
Having said that, using the rotary tool with the Vision Pro could not be any easier. It screws in with 2 little screws, you plug it right in, you use the WeCreat software, and with the camera you can see your object and place your graphic exactly where you want it. It just couldn't be any easier than that. I'm never going to be the guy that's customizing all these Stanley mugs that you see everywhere, but because the rotary tool is so easy to use, I definitely found a use for it, which you will see a little bit later in the video. Now, someone in the comments asked about the profitability of this machine. Is it really worth the price, and will it pay for itself over time? And I have to say, this is my 7th laser and this thing is running more than it's not. I use this thing constantly. As you've seen in the video, the Vision Pro is perfect for customizing just about anything that you plan on selling. But I also use it all the time for making gifts for friends and family, or just making cool projects like this when I have some downtime. To sum up, I am very happy with this machine. I would have to say my only complaint is I'm going through so much material making projects like this. So WeCreat, if you happen to be listening, you know, you could hook a brother up or something, you know what I'm saying?
You would like that, wouldn't you?
If you want more details on the WeCreat Vision Pro, just hit the link below. And at the time of this video, if you use the coupon code BoydstonGrove at checkout, you get an extra $100 off your purchase. Now, back to our projects. Project number 3 is going to be some pencil holders and candle holders. I started by grabbing a log from the yard and using a bow saw to cut off a couple of 4-inch long pieces. Then I used a chisel to remove the bark. Fortunately, this wood is pretty dry, so the bark peeled off pretty easily. After a quick sanding, I used a 2-inch Forstner bit to drill out the center, going about 3 inches deep. I wanted one of the little logs to be a tea light candle holder, so I used a 1 5/8-inch Forstner bit and drilled down about as deep as the head of the bit. Now, I figured this project would be the perfect way to try out the rotary tool for the Vision Pro, but as you can see, they are not perfectly cylindrical, so we'll see how it goes.
This had better be terrible.
I added the little extension pieces onto the rotary tool along with those little bushing thingies, and it actually held the log pretty firmly. With the camera and the WeCreat software, it made it pretty easy to figure out the placement of my graphics. And would you look at that? Not too shabby if I do say so myself. And I do say so. With that, it was just a matter of applying a few coats of spray-on lacquer, and project number 3 is in the bag. Okay, I think the experiment on the Vision Pro worked out great. I think these came out really cool. This is a super simple project, and you've probably seen something similar before, but these customized graphics really set it apart. I especially like this one with the grass and flowers and butterflies that wraps all the way around. Now, on to our last project. For our final project, I'm making an entry key holder with a mail slot. Using some more scrap 3/4 inch pine, I cut the back panel to 16 inches by 11 inches and then set my miter saw to 31.6 degrees to create a peak at one end of the board. Now, in case any of you are wondering why I picked this particular angle, it's because it just happens to be one of the stops on my miter saw. I just figured that would make it easier. It's just the peak of the roof, so you can make it any angle you want.
Are you sure about that?
And in case you're wondering, yes, I have a full set of plans for this project on our website as well.
Good to know.
I ripped down some more of the pine to use to frame in the back panel and create the mail slot. The roof pieces were easy enough, just cutting the ends to match the angle of the back panel. The two side pieces are a teeny bit more complex because you want to leave a wider section at the bottom for the mail slot. I also cut the section where the mail slot will go at an angle just to add more interest. I clamped the two side pieces together and used the jigsaw to cut them out so they would be identical. I cut another strip to fill in the bottom, making sure to match the angle of the two sides. And lastly, I cut the front panel, again making sure to angle both sides with the same angle. With all the pieces cut and sanded, I stuck the back panel and the front panel into the Vision Pro to add some graphics. Assembly was pretty straightforward, just using glue and brad nails. After puttying the nail holes and doing some light sanding, I applied a few coats of my favorite finish. When it was dry, I added some small hooks for keys to the front and some hanging hardware on the back. To me, this is a product that will definitely get some people's attention. It's a pretty simple project, but with the added graphics, it really makes it stand out. All right, that's 4 more projects that are pretty simple to make, but I think will bring a lot of attention to your booth. Like I said before, we have a full set of plans for both the bookrest and the key holder on our website. If you're interested in those, just hit the link below. A shout out to WeCreat for sponsoring this video. If you're interested in more details on the Vision Pro that we're using or any of WeCreat's other products, just make sure to hit the link below and don't forget to use the coupon code to get an extra $100 off your purchase. A special thank you to all our Grove members for continuing to support us, and a big welcome to all our new Grove members. You all get the plans for these two projects for free this month over on the members page, so make sure to go over there to print off your copy. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Let me know in the comments below if you like these kind of projects that are easy to batch out. Should we continue to make videos like this? As always, thank you very much for watching. Be safe and have a great day.